Today on our 2016 Chevrolet Sonic, we're going to be taking a look at and installing the Roadmaster taillight wiring kit with bulbs, part number RM-155. Here's what it looks like once it's installed on the vehicle. And right now we've got the tail lights on just so you can get a feel for how bright it's going to be. And in there you can see the extra bulb that we put in there that's currently on, along with the factory bulb. And the new bulb is going to give us both tail lights and turn and brake signals in order to properly alert vehicles behind us when we're towing that our vehicle and RV are stopping or turning. This lighting system is going to do a good job of making sure that the vehicle is seen behind the RV. But another nice thing about this is that it doesn't tap into the vehicle's wiring system at all. It wires directly into the wiring that you install coming from the motorhome. So therefore, you can avoid possibly having a backfeed or surge in the electrical system of the vehicle. Now, let's go ahead and show you how to install it. So now, first thing we'll need to do is get our wiring routed. And I've gone ahead and removed the front fascia in order to just make it a little bit easier to see and follow. So I've got it routed down here to where I'm going to need it, and I just got it secured back here. So then I routed that wiring up and around the condenser and then up behind the headlight to where it's underneath the hood here. So depending on what type of braking system you're using, you'll have access to any wiring you may need. So I took my wire and then routed it down and just on this side of the ABS module there, and then ran it down the firewall so that I could then run along the inside of the subframe. Then I came down to where I could start following the subframe here. Just kept it tucked up tight, running along. Then I was able to run it up inside the frame rail there. Come out back here and begin running it upwards to try and keep it away from anything kicking up and hitting it. And also want to run it upwards to try and keep it away from anything that might be hot or any moving parts that might damage it. So I just continued to run along the subframe there until I came out here at the rear of the vehicle. So now we can remove the tail light. It's got two Phillips head screws here. Remove both of those. Then we can gently work the tail light out. I can remove all of the bulbs from the back of it. And all these are twist style, so you just twist to unlock them. Then you also want to, at any of the clips where the wiring is held in, you want to pull it out from there because you're going to need to be able to work with the taillight assembly separately. So you won't want these wires getting in your way. If any of these are pretty tight to get out, you can take a pair of pliers and just gently grip in order to twist it and unlock it. Because sometimes from the factory, the seal helps hold it in there nice and tight. So now I can just let those hang there and set my taillight assembly off to the side. And then once I've got that one removed, I'll repeat that same process on the other side. So now I'll take some fish wire, which what I'm using is just some old airline tubing. Begin to feed it upwards so I can get it to come out that opening underneath the taillight assembly in order to pull my wiring up through. So now on this side, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to cut to the length I need the white, brown, and yellow wires, and then this green wire will be able to just go back to the opposite side for the passenger tail light. So I'll cut those to the length I'll need. Then I'm going to separate them from the green wire there, so that way I can use the full length of my green wire to go to the other side. So now what I'll do is I'll strip back the ends of these three wires. Now the ends that we cut that were connected to these on the white and brown wires, we're going to strip the ends of those back as well, because these are going to give us the wire that we'll need to run to the other side so we can have both power for our tail lights and ground on both sides. So once you've got all of those stripped, you can take the white and white, just kind of twist them together there. Then take one of the yellow butt connectors, put them in there, and then crimp them down. Then we'll do the same thing with the brown. So once we've got those connected, and then on our fish wire, we should have the white, brown, and green wires. We'll feed it back down through where we came up in order to go across to the passenger side tail light. When it came back down from the driver's side tail light, it went into the bumper rail and sent it all the way across through that bumper. And once it got to the other side, went up and through the opening for the passenger side tail light. So we've got our wiring pulled up on our passenger side. We can cut those 3 wires to length again. And then with these 3 wires, we'll be able to strip the ends of these back so we can begin to install our butt connectors here. Then we'll need to take a short section of the excess white wire that we have in order to help make an extra ground, make sure that our system's very well grounded. So then we'll just strip either end of that as well. And then I'll take the end of the white wire coming up from underneath the vehicle and one end of the wire that I just cut, and then I'll put my last yellow butt connector on there in order to crimp it down. On the other end of that excess wire that you cut, you can take this blue little ring terminal and slide it on there and then crimp that down. So now with my brown and green wires here, I can take blue butt connectors that come in the kit and crimp them down onto the ends. And with those in place, I'll be ready to wire in the bulb and socket. So I'll need to strip the ends of the wires back. The red wire on the passenger side here is going to go into the butt connector that's on the green wire, because that's going to be our turn signal and brake light power. And then our brown wire will go to the brown wire that's coming from the RV. And then the black wire will go into the yellow butt connector that's coming from our white ground wires. Now it's a good idea with these butt connectors to take a little bit of electrical tape and just wrap it up, because that's just going to help to keep out moisture and help prevent that moisture and water from causing corrosion inside that butt connector, and therefore tampering with it and possibly causing a bad connection and failure. From here on out, we'll be doing that with all of our electrical connections. So now back over here on the driver's side, with the yellow wire, we can install our last blue butt connector. Then we can grab our bulb and socket in order to get ready to install it. So here on the driver's side, the red wire is going to go to the yellow wire. Again, brown wire to brown wire, and black wire to the white ground wires. So now that extra little wire that comes off the passenger side with that ring terminal, we're just going to take a 1/4 inch self-tapping screw, comes with the kit, and ground that as an extra ground to make sure that our system is very well grounded for operation. The next thing we'll need to do is drill the hole in order to mount our bulb and socket into our taillight assembly. And I'm going to mount it so that that bulb and socket comes right through. So if we flip it over, where that's going to be is right there. So I'm just going to go right in the middle of that little area there. In order to drill that out, I used a 1-inch hole saw. So now it's a good idea to have a vacuum nearby so that you can clean all that up. So now what we'll need to do is take the bulb and socket and these little retaining tabs that go all the way around here, we need to bend those out a little bit so that they'll fit inside the hole that we just drilled in the assembly, and they won't allow the bulb to just fall out. And once we've got them bent out, we'll test fit it just to make sure that it's a nice snug fit, and if it's not, we can bend them a little bit to make sure that it is. Seems like that's a pretty good snug fit. So with that in place, what I'll do now is take some silicone and silicone around it here, which is going to help hold it in place, but also help make sure that no moisture gets into this assembly past this socket right there. If you don't have some, you can pick some up on our site, part number LT37467. And you just want to put a nice little bead all the way around there. That's just going to help secure it in place and make it weather tight so moisture doesn't get in there. So now that we've got our socket in there, we can reinstall all the lights into the back of the assembly and put our assembly back into place. With all those reinstalled, want to make sure that all of our wiring is towards the center where it's not going to get pinched. We'll make sure these little alignment tabs over here line up with the holes in the body, and then push it back into place. With it popped back into position, we can reinstall our 2 screws. And then we'll repeat that same process for the other side. We're going to be using this toe doctor, part number HM50928, in order to test the lighting that we've hooked up onto our towed vehicle. But you can also just use a motorhome in order to get power. First, we'll check the right brake and turn light. Then we'll check the left. And then we'll check our tail lights. Everything appears to be working properly. And that's going to complete our look at and install of the Roadmaster Taillight Wiring Kit with Bulbs, part number RM-155, on our 2016 Chevrolet Sonic.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.